Welcome back to the deep dive. So think about the iPhone for a second. I mean, for nearly 2 decades, Apple has pretty much been the leader, right, in smartphones.
Undisputed, yeah.
But lately, if you follow this stuff, it feels like the annual updates have kind of settled into a pattern.
A predictable rhythm, definitely. A slightly faster chip here, a slightly better camera sensor there.
It's evolution, sure.
Yeah.
But that core concept, it hasn't really fundamentally changed since, what, 2007?
Pretty much stayed the same, yeah.
Well, it looks like that era, that sort of comfortable, predictable era, might be ending fast.
Oh.
Yeah, we're looking at a whole stack of sources, reports, leaks, and they all seem to suggest Apple is gearing up for maybe its biggest historical leap since the original iPhone.
Wow, okay. So not just one new phone.
No. This sounds like a really comprehensive, multi-year plan, like billions of dollars in R&D spanning 2026 right through to 2028, a total design and conceptual overhaul. Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is to synthesize these reports, figure out the specific changes they're planning, the tech breakthroughs needed, and, what it means strategically for them to move beyond that classic iPhone shape.
And what's really interesting here, is that we're not just looking at isolated bits of gossip.
Right.
The sheer amount and, more importantly, the consistency of these reports. Coming from the supply chain, from reliable leakers, it really suggests a clear, locked-in strategy happening inside Cupertino.
A deliberate plan, then.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
A deliberate move away from just incremental updates, like you said, and a real commitment to, redefining how we interact with these devices. They're basically planning a multi-stage reinvention of the iPhone.
Okay, so stage 1 kicks off in 2026. That seems to be the consensus year for the first major milestone, Apple finally entering the foldable market.
And the iPhone Fold. That's the likely name, yeah.
And this isn't just Apple playing catch-up with Samsung, is it? The sources point to a specific design.
Right. They describe it as a large screen, but presented more like a small notebook.
A notebook. So when it's unfolded...
The size is apparently close to an iPad mini. So it's not just a bigger phone screen. It's more like a portable tablet experience you can fold up.
That's a different proposition.
It is. And if you dig into the technical side, the reason Apple's coming in later than, say, Samsung or others who've had foldables for years.
Yeah, why wait so long?
It seems really tied to their obsession with polish. They might be late, but they're focusing hard on the details, on durability.
Makes sense for Apple.
And the specific tech detail that keeps popping up is this unique internal glass structure they're supposedly using.
Internal glass. Why is that important?
Well, the theory is it's specifically designed to tackle that annoying crease you see on flexible screens.
The crease. Yeah, that's a big issue.
Exactly. It's a major consumer pain point right now. A lot of current foldables use softer plastic polymers to handle the fold, but Apple seems to be engineering this glass structure to keep the screen flatter and more durable.
So they're prioritizing the look and feel over maybe maximum flexibility.
Looks like it. It's like they're saying, look, we waited until we could fix the main aesthetic problem with everyone else's foldables.
Okay, but waiting until 2026. I mean, doesn't that basically give away the entire early adopter market? Is Apple risking becoming a follower here, even if the tech is super polished?
That's a really fair point. But, Apple's playbook often isn't about being first to market.
It's about being the best, or at least defining the premium end.
Exactly. They know the folding market is still relatively small, niche even, but they can come in and capture that mainstream segment, the people waiting for a really refined product, not just something new.
So their entry kind of validates the whole category.
It validates it, and it immediately sets a benchmark for things like hinge quality and, crucially, how minimal that crease is. It shifts the conversation from, is this thing going to break, to, wow, look how smooth this experience is.
Okay. So the big foldable debut in 26, then we jump forward just 1 year, 2027. And this sounds like where things get really ambitious.
The 20th anniversary of the iPhone.
Right. And the timing seems key. Rumors suggest a huge commemorative release, maybe the biggest overhaul yet.
A milestone product.
Yeah, and the consensus seems to be they might even skip number 19, just jump straight to iPhone 20.
Like they did with the iPhone X for the 10th anniversary.
Exactly, a similar symbolic leap. And the device itself, the descriptions are pretty wild. Sources are saying it should look like the future drop from the sky.
Okay, what does that even mean?
Well, features like screens with absolutely no bezels on any side. Curved lines, seamless glass, making it feel like one solid, unified piece. a monolith of glass and screen.
Wow, that aesthetic, that seamless glass idea, that's huge because it forces them to solve the one massive tech challenge that shaped the iPhone's look for the last, what, 7 years?
You mean the notch? Or the dynamic island?
Exactly. To get that truly seamless look, the absolute must-have is moving the entire Face ID system, the camera, all the sensors, the whole dynamic island setup, completely underneath the display glass.
Whoa. Under the screen?
Under the screen. This is a major engineering drama unfolding. We're talking under-display camera tech, UDC.
Other phones have tried that, right?
With the quality.
Hasn't been great, exactly.
Yeah.
Usually image quality suffers because the screen pixels sitting on top of the camera mess with the light. And Apple's Face ID isn't just taking a picture. It needs incredibly precise depth mapping, precise light readings.
So for them to launch a phone in 2027 with no dynamic island,
It implies they think they've cracked it. They've solved that critical trade-off where rivals have struggled getting high-quality images and accurate 3D sensing through an active display. It would mean a totally clean front interface, no interruptions.
okay, that's a massive leap. So 2026, the big, sophisticated, foldable notebook-style phone. 2027, the radical seamless slab, the anniversary iPhone 20.
Quite the 1-2 punch. But apparently the expansion, this sort of conquest of different form factors, doesn't even stop there. The roadmap seems to push into 2028.
What's rumored for 2028?
The third major design variation, the clamshell, the flip phone style, potentially called iPhone Flip.
Ah, the flip phone returns.
Yeah, back to that classic clamshell idea, but obviously modernized for the high end. The descriptions mention a design that's light, curved, really elegant, more focused on portability and maybe even fashion, which is a contrast to the Fold's productivity angle.
That's interesting. So fold for productivity, iPhone 20 for the ultimate slab, and flip for portability and style.
It seems like it.
You know, the strategic takeaway there is maybe the biggest shift in Apple's thinking in like a decade.
So?
Well, for years, if you wanted the latest iPhone, you basically got one design choice, the slab. Maybe different sizes, but the core look was the same. Now, it looks like they're deliberately diversifying the portfolio. They're aiming to cater to basically every major high-end preference. You want a big screen, fold. You want peak performance in the classic style, iPhone 20. You want something super pocketable and stylish, flip.
Covering all the bases.
Exactly.
Right.
And the flip is expected to have that small external screen, you know, for quick checks, notifications, controlling music, that kind of thing, so you don't always have to open it.
Standard flip phone feature now, yeah.
Right. But it means they can target the whole high-end market more effectively by appealing to different styles and needs, instead of just that one-size-fits-all approach.
It's a huge strategic expansion, definitely. But doesn't that create complexity? I mean, how do you avoid confusing people or having these products cannibalize each other? You've got a fold, a flip, and this perfected slab all potentially launching within 2 years.
That complexity is definitely the trade-off for diversifying. But the sources suggest Apple's plan is to manage this through clear positioning and probably pricing.
Setting them apart clearly.
Yeah. The Fold is likely positioned as the premium productivity hybrid. The iPhone 20 remains the core flagship, the performance leader for existing iOS users. And the Flip serves that distinct need for ultimate portability and maybe a different aesthetic appeal.
So the choice becomes more about which form factor suits you best, rather than just which has the slightly faster chip this year.
Exactly. The user's preference for how they want to use their phone, big screen, sleek slab, pocketable flip, becomes the main driver. That inherently segments the market and should limit direct cannibalization.
Okay, that makes sense. That covers the external design revolution. But these massive changes, these new form factors, they must require huge internal upgrades too, right? Especially the cameras squeezed into potentially thinner design.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the camera system. That's also reportedly getting a major upgrade, possibly starting even before the 2026 Fold.
Okay, so pivoting from the outside design to the internal tech now, what's the big camera news?
The reports point towards Apple finally introducing variable aperture lenses. This might start with the iPhone 18 Pro series, so potentially even in 2025.
Variable aperture. And they're working with Sunny Optical on this, is that right?
That's the partnership mentioned, yeah, Sunny Optical.
So why is variable aperture a big deal? Connect this to the bigger picture for us.
Okay, so think about it. A normal phone camera has a fixed aperture. The size of the opening that lets light onto the sensor is constant.
Right.
Variable aperture means the phone can physically change the size of that opening, make it wider or smaller depending on the situation.
And why does that matter for me, taking a picture?
Two main reasons. First, in low light, you can open the aperture wider to let more light in, which should mean better, brighter photos without as much noise.
Okay, better night shots.
Potentially, yes. Second, and this is maybe more interesting for creative control, it lets the phone physically manage depth of field.
Yeah.
That's the part of the picture that's in focus versus blurred out.
Ah, so controlling that blurry background effect, the bokeh. Apple does that with software now, right? Portrait mode?
Exactly. They simulate it very well with software. But having physical control via variable aperture allows for potentially more natural-looking bokeh and gives you, the user, more professional-level control over the focus, especially in complex scenes with mixed lighting. It adds a layer of photographic realism.
And this puts Apple back in the game technologically, doesn't it? Because rivals have been playing with this idea for a while.
Absolutely. It finally brings Apple into that specific camera competition. We know Samsung, for example, is reportedly planning similar tech for their Galaxy S26 Ultra.
So it's an arms race.
It is. This move shows Apple isn't just relying on bigger sensors or more megapixels. They're getting serious about the fundamental optics, how the lens itself works. And you kind of need that level of optical advancement to support these ambitious new designs, especially if they're trying to keep things thin. It's like an essential internal upgrade for the whole 3-year vision.
Wow. Okay, so when you lay it all out like that 2026, 2027, 2028, plus the camera tech, it really does feel like a clear, coherent strategy.
Definitely not just random upgrade.
No, it moves way beyond just component bumps. This is Apple looking at fundamentally redefining what an iPhone is. It's a roadmap built on these big conceptual leaps, not just minor speed bumps year after year.
Absolutely. And, this brings up a really important question, I think, for you listening.
Yeah.
If these huge multi-year design shifts work, if consumers love the Fold, the 20, the Flip, if Apple pulls this off and redefines expectations again, what does that do to the rest of the industry? Does that whole rhythm of small annual updates suddenly feel obsolete? Will other big tech companies feel forced to ditch the yearly tweak cycle and plan their own multi-year revolutionary roadmaps?
Could change the whole game. We might stop settling for minor upgrades.
You might find yourself expecting nothing less than a fundamental leap every few years from now on, a big shift in expectations.
Yeah. Definitely something to chew on while we wait for 2026 to roll around. Thanks for diving deep into Apple's rumored future with us today.
My pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.